Yeah. Hello, chat. We are getting started.
That's true. How do I sound?
You sound well.
You sound good.
I mean,
I sound good on the stream.
Let's see.
Let's see what they say.
Let's wait for people.
In the meantime, let's bring up Mike Minotti.
I'm too close to my mic. There we go.
I always sound better on Discord than I do on the video.
Not really. We watch just like that.
Sean says it's. I don't know. I believe Sean.
I'm gonna turn up. I'm gonna put on the magic thing for you, Mike, so you get even more frames. All right.
Okay.
People are gonna be ready for this. All right. Here we go. Well, hang on. Let me do
And he looks so crisp too.
Hello, everybody. Mike is 60 frames per second this week. We think he should be anyhow.
It should be, yeah. I don't know if Discord does it.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, do it again. Move your hand. No, that looks smooth. Yeah, he looks 60.
Did we do it? I don't.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it to me. No, keep watching.
It's just move. If you're standing still, what's the point?
I think you're right. I'm
It caught up.
I caught up. I think I'm good. Yes. Okay. I'm certainly better than last.
Mike Minotti has been FPS boosted. Everybody, congratulations.
Oh shit! He got that.
I got
that Microsoft patch.
I got a slightly better camera.
Okay.
I wonder how do I turn the light on this one? Do I just also?
This one doesn't have a light, I don't think.
Oh well, good because I don't like that light anyways.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, the light was useless.
I just had to buy a light. And
honestly, this camera's so good you shouldn't need a light. Yeah, if you buy one, I definitely do have one. It helps, but I mean, mine's really bright right now.
I was really insecure looking worse than Jeff. I didn't think that was right.
So we got smooth Mike Minotti now, very smooth.
Right. It's also also 50% off. So
yeah, that camera's been going on some deals recently.
I tell you what, I just okayed a message. I don't know if I should have. Nate was like, hopefully Orgasm Simulator gets announced tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay, that sure.
I mean, in the moment, it's very hard to deal with things like that. Isn't that right, Mike? In the moment, it's hard to know what to do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. We are going to talk about this direct. We're going to get started here in a second. I just need to check and make sure everything is good.
It's sweet. Let's hear which tweet we're going to talk about tomorrow's direct.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now.
Okay. That looked good on the. I think that looked good on there. Chat, you heard that, right? We're about to start. Yes, we're about to start. Let's. I'll tweet, and then I'll come back to see if the chat said they heard Wario or not.
The Tech Foundry too.
Yeah,
I still feel bad. When we had that NFT sponsor post thing, a lot of people like subtweeted us, but for some reason when Digital Foundry, John Winterman from Digital Foundry did that one hurt me. I was like, oh, John doesn't like us. I felt sad. I understand why he's wet, but I also felt sad.
Yeah, that one hurt.
I like Digital Foundry.
Not like this.
Someone tell him I love him.
How's
that though? Yeah, you do it. Yes, it's very important. It's a mission. Remember when Cotton Hill told Hank Hill that he needs to cut his head off and mail it to the Japanese emperor and fill his mouth with worms? It's as important as that. Except it's not a dying wish. Maybe it is. I don't know what's going to happen in the next.
Yeah, I mean, who could say? Any wish could be a dying wish if you do it wrong.
Right? Yeah. A large enough time.
Yeah.
My sister saw a guy almost dying eating pizza one time.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like my life, dude.
She choked on pizza, and
that's how I want to
deal with my sister. If we ever die in a lame way, we will lie. We will say we die like doing cool shit.
Oh man, I want everyone to tell the absolute truth. I want people to say Mike Minotti died trying to eat an Arby's sauce packet. Not unopened. He just tried to shove it down his mouth like it was candy.
If you guys give us $1,000 in chat revenue, according to this counter right here, I will watch Dragon Ball Evolution again. I will do it again. So
what? What are you?
That's a lot of money.
You like that movie? I think you're picking us.
I like it for $1,000. Yeah.
Somebody asked what camera I got. It's that Keo Pro. I was just using the regular Keo, and it was fine. But now I have the Pro. It was on sale.
Yep.
You guys have sent super chats that have basically invested, into the show. So I figured I may as well use it to make
right.
my
The last couple weeks has
better.
been really good. So he's going to be getting a payday here soon. So yeah.
Oh, you know what you should do with the other camera? Do like a penny camera.
I know what to do with the other camera. I know exactly where to aim it. At my Arby's miniature.
Okay. I was scared for a second.
All right, we're so far we're at $7.71. So pretty far away from having to watch Dragon Ball Evolution again. I feel pretty good about that. Okay. I think we're ready to go. You ready to go?
Okay.
All right.
That's
Later,
fun.
Christian. All right, I'm going to count down. I'll hit start recording. Let me get up the doc. I'm gonna get up the doc.
Doc up, get the stream elements up. Make sure you tweet it.
Yeah, got stream elements. I tweeted. We're good. Okay.
Let's see what you tweeted. Let's see if you actually tweet if you just mumbled letters because you got bored halfway through. Nope, you did a real tweet. Good job for you.
A lot of times, I mean, I still was bored halfway through, but I saw it through.
Remember when you were bored halfway through looking at the items in Mario Party when we were playing, and like the last one was the gold pipe that just sends you the star, but you like, I don't care. You took that stupid chain chomp whistle that just moves the star.
And it moved it to it moved it from not being near anybody to not being near anybody. When
the funniest thing is that I thought that was a distinct possibility. I was like, there's a very good chance Jeff is just not going to read what that golden pipe does. He's probably never seen it before. Somehow won't be curious about it.
Even worse, I have seen it before. I just literally didn't even look that far down the list. I never even saw that the golden pipe was there.
Jeff, you beautiful bastard.
All right, let's do this. We can talk about this on the show. All right. 5, 4, 3. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Mike, I hit the wrong button.
That's not the right show.
No, I just kept hitting next profile, and then all of a sudden the intro button was there. All right. 5, 4, 3.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now! Yeah, let's get this over with. Yeah.
Woof woof. Hi, I'm Mike Minotti, and I am a Nintendog.
Hi, I'm Jeff Grubb, and I am a Nintendog.
And we are the last of the Nintendogs. Today, we are preparing for a Nintendo Direct. It's happening. It's crazy. It's going to be fantastic. We're also answering your questions, and we are talking about the most controversial Nintendo games. But Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was recovering from a little bit of a sickness, enough of a sickness that when my kids were also sick, I needed a day off yesterday. But I laid on the couch. I watched a couple episodes of Reacher, which sounds like a porno, but isn't.
Wow. Yeah. No, it didn't, but okay.
Well, I mean, Reacher. Okay, you're right.
I know what you're trying to say, you absolute gutter mind.
I was, just kind of hanging out, playing some video games, trying to relax, and now I come in this morning and Nintendo's announced a Nintendo Direct, so I'm getting excited to talk about video games.
Yeah. So, look, this is going to be the big one. This isn't a partner direct. This isn't an indie direct, a Nintendo Direct Mini. This is a 40-minute Nintendo Direct. It is airing tomorrow, February 9th at 2 p.m. Pacific. So, 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So, very exciting. We will talk about what we expect to see from that. Everybody,
I made a list. Of stuff. Yes.
Ooh. Very exciting. Okay, well, Jeff's got a list. That's going to be fun. If you're listening and you want to ask us any questions, you can send in a super chat. You can let us know what you're hoping for. It's on tomorrow's Direct if you want. If you want to get involved with our topic this week, the most controversial Nintendo game, you want to tell us what you think that would be, you can also do that in a super chat. All right, Jeff, let's hear, what is this list of yours? Do you have predictions? Do you have educated guesses? Do you have any leaks for me?
I think the only leaks, and this one's not from me, this is from, I think, Nate and Emily Rogers on Twitter. They've been talking about this. This is the first one on the list. A sequel to, have you heard about this? Have you heard this one?
I have to hear it first.
Okay. I was just wondering, cause I want to
sequel to what?
Well, I mean, I want to make you, okay, they said it's a casual game and a sequel to a casual game that no one asked for. So what do you think it is?
Nintendogs?
Well, no.
Is it 1-2 Connect? Not 1-2.
1-2 Switch. It's a
1-2
sequel to 1 Switch. Yeah.
Oh, sequel to Connect. What the hell am I talking? What the hell? I saw on that Connect almost train. Really, a sequel to 1-2 Switch?
That's what it sounds like.
3-4 Switch.
I mean, that game 3-4 Switch. Yeah,
Coffee
exactly.
Baby just said that and made me laugh reading it. Why?
Because the game sold.
1-2 Switch actually did sell a lot of copies, but that had so much to do with it being a launch game, Jeff.
Right. I know, it was the Red Steel effect. Why do companies never realize that the Red Steel effect is because it's the only game there at launch, and then they make another one and like, oh, this didn't sell.
I hope it's like Red Steel 2 and that this game's actually like really good.
Yes,
and,
but then no one plays it, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's so weird because that like 1-2 Switch was a showcase for all of these things that Joy-Cons could do that no other game really uses.
Right.
So
we're gonna get a lot of this again. We're gonna for the people listening on audio, I'm milking a cow. I'm shaking a glass of ice. It's gonna be great. We're gonna get finally another reason to have HD Rumble come back and take over the world and rush over the world. Okay, so the rest of the list it's pretty comprehensive, and what I thought we would do is I would say them, and then we would make our guesses about whether or not they're going to be here at this show tomorrow. So there's a progression here of like what kinds of games these are, but I haven't put them in any real order other than that. All right, so let's start here. Game Boy games on Nintendo Switch Online, and obviously that also includes Game Boy Color under Game Boy.
Yeah, I wonder. You'd think it would be time. I know at least somebody. I think Tiffany Treadmore, that hot girl 6ix9ine, was saying that.
That's her name. Yeah. Mike's not just saying that hot girl.
No, hot girl 6ix9ine is like her Twitter. She was saying that more Nintendo and SNES games were coming to Nintendo Switch Online. I wonder if we're just not going to hear about that instead. I don't know. Sometimes like Creative Flow seems to have been getting pretty good lately. She might be right.
Okay.
I don't know. It seems like it should be time for that. That was such a strong rumor for a while. What do you think? I'm kind of split on that one.
I'm gonna say yes on this one. I'm gonna say yes. I think we get. I'm just gonna say yes. I don't know, but I think that it's been a few months since we got Nintendo 64. I think it'd be cool to like have this here. Like it's, you spread these announcements out 3 to 6 months. This feels right. If it's not here, I think obviously it's at E3, and I guess that's still possible. But
I wouldn't be shocked if it wasn't another November thing, to be honest. Like
you think a full year?
Part of me thinks that I think they're gonna want to wait a whole year. I think we might just get more NES, SNES, 64, Genesis stuff for a bit. They're gonna be like, man, we just added new consoles for the first time ever. We're gonna already add new ones already. Let's hold on to that.
Okay, I'm going to actually mark these off the list as I'm going, so I can keep them straight. Okay, let's do a couple quick rapid ones. Yes or no? Will Kirby be there?
Yeah.
And I say yes. Advance Wars, which is coming out, which got delayed, coming out in April, we think.
Yeah, probably not a whole lot yet. We know what that is, but it'll be there.
Yes, I think it'll get its 30 seconds, like in the direct lady voice saying this game is coming out this day. Like we get the actual date probably. Yeah. Mario plus Rabbids 2.
Yeah. That'll show. That one doesn't have a firm release date. I assume it's like going to be right. So like this, they say that this is going to be focusing mainly on games in the first half of 2022, and I expect Mario plus Rabbids to fall into that time frame there.
Project Triangle Strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think all of these are just like we're gonna get updates on all of them. Probably get some like maybe dates, or maybe a little more info. All right, now these ones are further out, but could still possibly be here. And I'm less sure about these ones. Splatoon 3.
Yeah, so like I think we all expect Splatoon 3 in the summer, which means it could be the first half. It could not be the first half. It's borderline.
Yes.
It's been a while since we heard anything about this, and it's I feel like if you wait till E3 era, direct to talk about it now, it's almost like too late. It's like so close to release date. So unless they do a separate direct before it comes out, I don't know. I feel like we'll probably hear something. I don't know. Now I'm like talking myself out of it because they could just do a mini direct just about Splatoon 3. In a few
That's
months.
what I think is going to happen too. I think
yeah.
I think so. I don't think it'll be here there. I think we get a direct dedicated to Splatoon 3 in part because it's so popular in Japan that they'll just give us one of those and they'll broadcast that everywhere. And that'll come in like April or something.
Right.
Okay. So then Bayonetta 3.
I don't know. I actually don't know about that one. I think that one they wait for E3 because it's not coming out the first half of this year, right? That's probably going to be closer to a holiday game, and they're probably going to want time just to work on it. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see that one.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. All right. Arms 2. Do you think we get an Arms 2 there?
Gosh, I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna get Arms 2 until Switch 2 time.
Do you think that team, like, what else did they work on?
That's a good. I was also wondering that. I'm gonna look now, but I feel like that can't be. That has to be a team that does other things. Is that the Mario Kart team? Am I making that up?
I think it does feel like the Mario Kart team. It's Nintendo Entertainment Planning and Development. NEPD.
Oh, it's a Splatoon 3 people, so it looks like they're working on Splatoon 3, I think.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So yeah, they're not. Yeah, we're not getting. Maybe after Splatoon 3, then they'll make Arms 2 for the next Switch.
Yeah. Okay. Metroid Prime remaster / remake.
Sure hope so, Jeff. Sure hope so.
Yeah.
There's got to be some surprises here, right?
Let me put it this way. Metroid Prime 1 remaster or Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess / Wind Waker, which one's more likely to show up here?
Man, that's a good question. I feel like the Wind Waker Twilight Princess thing depends a lot on how much they want to say about Breath of the Wild 2 or not. Because if they don't, then maybe we get the Wind Waker Twilight Princess stuff to kind of tie us over a little bit. For some reason, I'm like, I feel like we don't get both of those things, right? We get one or the other.
Yeah. I think we probably get Legend of... That's tough. I would love to...
People are saying now the ARMS team is not the Splatoon team, and they're rightfully saying that ARMS and Splatoon 2 came out months apart.
Yeah.
Apparently, I mean, ARMS is the Mario Kart team is what people say. I think Nintendo EPD means a lot of different mini teams.
And I think they work on... They worked on Breath of the Wild, but they obviously aren't the Breath of the Wild team. So, like, they help on everything.
Okay, so that's just all right. Then that's the Mario Kart team. So I don't know what those people are working on then, but so maybe they are working on ARMS too. I guess it's.
More they could be working on something else. I guess. Well, I guess
could be working on something else, like F-Zero, right?
Oh man, maybe. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna say we're gonna get Metroid Prime, and they're gonna hold off on the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Wind Waker a little bit longer. Okay. So those GoldenEye rumors. Do you think we get GoldenEye announced here for Nintendo 64 Online or some other version of that game?
I think we could see it for Nintendo 64 Online, if anything. I don't think we're getting that remastered version, whatever, that's maybe coming to Xbox.
Okay. People are saying like EPD has like 10 teams.
That sounds right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. I think we hear about, because I think like GoldenEye is always kind of was meant for this time frame. So I think there's a strong chance we hear about it here. I guess it would be kind of weird for Nintendo to be the ones leading with it, but also it's not weird because it was such a game associated with Nintendo. But maybe they announce it and then Microsoft comes out later and says, hey, it's coming to Xbox in some way, like later in the day. Or maybe Xbox is just like part of the Nintendo Direct saying, and you could also play it on Xbox. I don't know.
I mean, maybe like that's not impossible these days. I do just think even if it's a couple months from now, where Microsoft's like, yeah, by the way, like a better version of that is coming to Xbox. That's fine. They're not gonna get upset about that.
All right, Mike. Let's get real. Hollow Knight.
God, Jeff. Every time I'm like, it's so ridiculous we haven't heard about it now. Surely we will this time. I'm going to do it. I don't know why. I'm going to say I expect to see Hollow Knight. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Here we go.
God help me.
We're going at it again, everybody. Mike says yes to Hollow Knight. That means 6 more weeks of gaming winter. Golf Story 2. I think we probably get Golf Story 2. I'm gonna say it. I say this is it. This is the time for Golf Story 2. It's been a long time since we heard much on this game, and they kind of like last year would say we would start to hear about it again this year. I'm gonna say yes. This is it. You don't have an opinion on Golf Story 2?
Oh, I don't know. I thought, I don't know. It's like, it got quiet. I thought he was going to the next thing. He wants to hear from me. I don't know. It's like, part of me is like, do they do Silk Song and Golf Story 2 / Sports Story?
Well, probably not.
Yeah. Probably not, right? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. So we got our bases covered there. All right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
I don't know. That's a big deal to me. Is that a big enough deal for a Nintendo Direct proper? Maybe.
I think it's like got enough buzz. People are saying Sports Story. It's the Golf Story 2. Yes, I just wrote down Golf Story 2, but it's called Sports Story. I think Shredder's Revenge is big enough. Like, because they haven't given us an exact date. If they announce a date, that's coming up pretty soon. I bet it rates, but otherwise, who knows?
I mean, it's 40 minutes. There's certainly time for a 30-second check-in on this and giving it a proper release date, right?
Yep. All right. Now, this is the madness section.
Okay.
Metroid Prime 4.
No.
I'm going to say no. I'm just going to, I think it's pretty safe to continue to say no for that until Breath of the Wild 2 is out, until we start hearing about some of these other games. Yeah. Mario Kart 9.
No. I don't think that's coming until Switch 2.
Yep, I
really
agree.
don't.
I agree. Next Level's game. So Next Level's next game.
Yeah, I guess it's been a couple. It's been a year and a half since Luigi's Mansion 3, huh? Is that it?
That can't be right. It's only been a year and a half.
Oh, so it's been half a year since, generously half a year since like Halloween-ish, and then it came out.
It's 2019. Mike, time.
2019.
2019. So 2020, 2021.
Okay,
so 2.5-ish years.
2.5 years. I was off by a year. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, I'll tell you what. Like, if they were making a new Punch Out, that shouldn't take very long.
Yeah.
So they had to have put them on something aside from going straight to Luigi's Mansion 4 right away, right? Like, they want to give that a little. Like, Luigi's Mansion 3 is selling so well and has legs. Why make 4 right away? Why not just wait for the next Switch to do that? They must work on something. I just don't know what it is. If it could be. So it's hard. I could flip a coin on this one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we probably do get the next game from them, and we hear about it here, and it comes out maybe later this year, and maybe it is like, the chances there maybe they could have started it even before Luigi's Mansion 3 came out. Especially if it was like, if it's one of these sports games, if it is Mario Strikers or if it is Punch Out, that feels like about the time frame that we would get. It's like a full 3 years later. Chances are it could get delayed or whatever, but still, I think that's right. So I think we'll hear about their next game. I guess if we don't hear about it here, we'll probably hear about it at E3. So either of those are possible, but I'm just going to say here. All right, Breath of the Wild 2.
Man, I feel like they might show something just because they don't want people getting anxious about it. I don't think we'll get a release date, but I think we might finally get an actual name. I think we might get a title here.
Yeah, they probably can't do this 40-minute Nintendo Direct without mentioning Breath of the Wild 2. So they'll definitely mention it, and I think you're right. The thing that they could probably start talking about here is the name. But it's like, can they do the name without showing a trailer? Because I mean, who knows? Maybe they want that speculation. Maybe that'd be fun for them too. I don't know. Because apparently they said the name is very indicative of like what's happening in the story.
I mean, you could just do a segment with Enuma, and he's like, "Hi, we're working hard. Here's the name reveal." That'll be something.
All right. Finally, do we get that? And now it's been confirmed by Nick that this is what he's talking about. The Mario Muso game.
Okay, that Mario Muso game, man. I tell you what, I still just can't believe it, Jeff. We could, man. What is that going to look like?
I don't know. So just to like backstory on this, the developers of like the Muso games that have worked with Nintendo were asked in the past like what they would like want to work on, and one of them said, "I would like to make a Mario Muso game." So like he said this in the past, and maybe that's where the rumors are coming from. Maybe there's nothing really here. And even like Nick says he doesn't even believe this. I've never heard about it from anyone except for through him, and he's heard it through his sources, and he doesn't even believe it. So it's like I'm kind of right there with like I don't believe this, but yet it would be incredible if it really happened. I don't know, what does it look like? It's probably just Princess Peach waving an umbrella around like as a million Goombas and Koopa Troopas attack.
Yeah.
It sounds like fun. Yeah, in the Mushroom Kingdom, out in front of Peach's castle. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I want to see it, Jeff. I'm not going to be upset about it, but it's just, I'll tell you what, I just don't know.
So that was the list of games I had. Do you have any others in your mind that you want to talk about? Anything else you could think of?
Sure. What about Xenoblade Chronicles 3? Is that real?
Right,
is that
yes.
something we see here?
I mean, we've been saying that for the last few of these. It does feel like, though, we probably should get it, right?
Yeah, we were expecting it before. I don't know. It's like what's going to be the final thing here? Because a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 could be a final thing. It's maybe not for some people. Maybe it won't be the most exciting one in the world, but for the people who really like that, it's a big deal. So it could be. But also, you were saying that you think a new Fire Emblem is coming. Do we hear about that here? Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's a new Fire Emblem or a Fire Emblem remake, but yeah, that seems just as likely as anything else. We probably, because it's coming this year, and I know they said that it's like for the first half of the year, but they always talk about stuff that might come later. I think it probably mentioned a Fire Emblem, and then they release it later this year, like this fall.
I think that the real grand finale is going to be whatever the Mario team is working on, and I do not think it's that Donkey Kong game. I think they are just making Super Mario Odyssey 2, and I'm going to call my shot here. I think that this not only are we going to see it, I think this is going to end with Super Mario Odyssey 2.
I think it ends with the trailer for the Mario movie. Is how I think this ends.
Ugh, ew.
Yes.
They can't do that. They must know that there'd be some blowback to that.
I don't know if they think that. I don't know if they know that.
Come on, they wouldn't do the Mario movie in direct. They would do it at the Super Bowl, if anything. No.
It's $5 million. They're not going to spend $5 million to, not even, that's because it's like a movie trailer. I guess they would say.
Hey, would they spend that or would Universal spend that?
I mean, I don't think either of them. I think they would probably.
Universal would.
Man, I don't know if Universal would spend. I mean, guess maybe. I don't know. I think that I think it's Nintendo Direct is like bigger than a Super Bowl ad sometimes, where it's like it's speaking to that audience. It's like the one way to speak to the Nintendo audience. There's like a lot of value in that, and I bet like Universal.
They don't need to sell the Nintendo audience on the Mario movie as much as they need to sell the people who are watching the Super Bowl and the Mario. I don't think we're seeing a Mario movie trailer at the Direct. I'll just say if there is, I owe you a Coke.
I think we at least get a teaser for it, and they say here it's coming. It's okay, and watch it here.
Look at this. Mac Roberts has a good point. NBC has a Super Bowl this year, so that's NBC Universal, so they would maybe not have to pay as much for Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm really expecting it at the Super Bowl either. I'm just saying I don't expect it at the Direct. Not really.
Okay.
A couple other things.
Hang on. We just lost all our
Persona
frames.
games.
Hang on. We just lost all our frames. Hello. Sorry, everybody. Hang on. We should
be squeaky.
Yeah, we should be coming back. I think we're back now.
We are. You've been kind of squeaking for me a little.
Okay, hang on. Let's go back to Central here. Okay, it's gonna reset you. All right, there we go. Okay. So what were you gonna say, Mike? What other games?
Couple other things here. Persona games on Switch.
Ooh, okay.
We getting those?
I don't think we get them announced here. No.
How about the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters?
Yes. That is. I bet that I feel like there's a chance that even like Shadow drops.
Why don't you do a poll? I want to see what people think. Are we going to get the Mario movie trailer at the Direct?
Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So do we get at least a teaser? Like, and I mean like an actual like teaser trailer.
Anything, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what that means. Yeah. So I guess the big thing I'm really hoping for optimistically is, besides for Silksong, is that Mario Odyssey 2 thing. That's a bit more my pie in the sky, but I think it could really happen. And then otherwise, it's just like sensible things like Kirby. Some people like think that like a separate 2D Kirby game is happening. I feel like there's no way, if that is real, there's no way they announced it before the 3D Kirby game comes out.
Right, that's based on that one rumor, right, from the magazine that like kind of was like framed it weird. I don't think
it's a Japanese magazine, and who knows how it was translated.
Right. I don't think any of that is what people think it is. Yeah. No way.
G-Mancer already admitted I vote against Mike on principle. See? God.
No, you're winning this already.
Oh, of course I am, because I'm reasonable. Yeah. All right. Well, so the Direct is tomorrow. We will be watching it live on here as we work through it, so you guys can join us while we do that, and we'll have lots of fun. Maybe Jeff can keep an eye on some of these predictions we had, and we can see what happens. What does it? I wonder just give me something truly surprising out of left field that we're not even really expecting, like an F-Zero or something like that. That'll be interesting. But again, this is the big one. We only get like maybe 2 of these, 3 of these a year. It feels like sometimes, if that. So let's all have some fun here. All right, Jeff. We got Nintendo's earning reports last week. We talked about this a good bit on GameSpeak Decides already, but just a couple of the big things here. The lifetime sales for the Switch are at 103.54 million. It has surpassed the Wii. Next up would be like the PlayStation 2 for the next home console, which is 155, and like 151 something is where the DS is at if it wants to be the most successful Nintendo console of all time. But yes, the Switch is doing very well.
Yeah, it's on pace to outsell the PS4. It's the fastest console to reach 100 million. All that stuff. I'm not too surprised by any of this. This is Nintendo operating on all cylinders and being very good about positioning fun games across its release schedule that appeal to a broad audience in a way that just none of the other consoles really can compete with right now. And it's seen the benefits of that strategy. The big question is like, how far does this go? And that depends on how long they keep selling the Switch. But I expect it to at least get pretty close to that 150 million mark by the end. Probably won't beat it, but I think it's going to get at least pretty close.
Yeah, I have a hard time seeing it, but who knows? Stranger things have happened. The other kind of big sale number here that's always like keep staring at is Metroid Dread has sold 2.74 million copies. Jeff, you're optimistic about this, and I kind of talked to you why I didn't think it was super great. I don't know if I won you over or not. Do you still see this as a glass half full thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of settled in what, like, it is what it is with Metroid. Like, Metroid's always had a smaller audience, and it would have been nice for it to break through. It didn't, but this is still, the best. It's going to be the best-selling Metroid game, and it almost certainly already is. That's fantastic. It's good that we're already here. It's a 2D game, and if you look at it from the perspective of that, like, it's one of the best-selling 2D games on the Switch in an era where 3D absolutely dominates in a way like it has never had. It never has before, especially on Nintendo hardware. So to me, this is all just it's mostly good news. And I wish it would have sold 5 million or whatever, but the fact that it didn't doesn't really mean it's not a breakout hit for Metroid. It's just not a breakout hit in the way that like Luigi's Mansion 3 was.
I tell you what, I just decided that I want to see if this game has outsold Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on the Switch, and that'll make me feel better or not. Tropical Freeze has sold 2.65 million copies, so it actually has already at least outsold that. Maybe that makes me feel better.
Right, another 2D game. So like, there you go.
It's weird because it wasn't very long ago that the 2D games for Nintendo were actually doing much better, and I wonder if. And I'm glad this is the case because I think this is why we are finally getting a 3D Kirby game and stuff like that. Yeah, so
but like Fortnite came along, and now everyone can use dual sticks. Everyone's used to 3D now. All kids are growing up on Roblox. They understand 3D in the way they just didn't a few years ago. So it's completely flipped.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now sold 43.35 million copies. That might actually just be Mario Kart 8. That might even include. Actually, I'm not sure. It might just be Deluxe. All right, Jeff. Next piece of news here. Nintendo says that it won't compete with Microsoft and Sony in an acquisitions arms race. That's based off of comments during kind of the earnings call. What do you think about that?
I mean, this is pretty clear. Like, this is that they're not going to try to go out there and buy Capcom. They're not going to try to go out there and buy Square Enix. They were never going to do that. They don't need to do that. They like, we talk about, like, Microsoft trying to fill its certain niches and Sony trying to get a live service operation. Nintendo is happy being the console for families, and we just talked about, like, the reason they're so successful is families go and buy these things, and then everyone in the family plays the Switch system. So they sort of have a strategy that's already working for them, and they can continue to grow in that direction where it's like, just put out more of those games, and those games are have the benefit of being pretty inexpensive to make and also having really high sales potential. Like, if you get a game that is broadly appealing, you end up with something like Animal Crossing New Horizons that sells 35 million copies, almost 40 million copies. And that's, you just don't get that from a $200 million game that Sony's making for a really hardcore audience that goes and sells like 20 million copies at the high end. And so Nintendo's going to just keep like looking for ways to hit this broad audience that it has. And, it doesn't really need to rely on much more. And it's kind of slowly figuring out services and what that means. But it has the luxury of a really long time of being able to take a long time to figure that stuff out. And so it doesn't need to go make bold moves where it spends a lot of its money acquiring stuff. It could just like invest that money in other areas. So I mean, at the same time, if a company that they work with goes up for sale and they risk losing a partner that has done a lot of really good work for them, I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo tries to make a move for one of them. Now, I don't think that means that they go out and buy Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco, I was just about to say, that seems like maybe the biggest one that could be slightly possible. If Bandai Namco was in trouble.
In the realm of possibility.
Right, but like, there's no way Nintendo's going to be the ones to buy even a Square Enix, really. Or certainly not an EA.
No. I mean, it would be like, what would they even do with them?
What would they do with EA?
Right, exactly. Like, even Square Enix.
Honors in Smash Brothers.
Like, even Square Enix, like, it's like, you got Final Fantasy, but like Final Fantasy 14 is your big one right now, and I guess we could stream it to the Switch.
Yeah, the live service MMO and these really like high tech, RPGs, and a lot of other companies don't make any sense for them.
So like, but Bandai's like the Bandai part of Bandai Namco is like this big anime like thing with like all kinds of merchandise and weird. Like it's like a kind of a headache of its own. And yet I still like they do a lot of work with Nintendo. Nintendo would probably have the conversations. I just don't know if it would turn into anything else from there. What do you think?
Again, I think it's the most likely of the biggest ones to happen. I don't think they go that big. It's like if they are going to buy someone, it's going to be just like that next level game situation, and maybe that's Mercury Steam. But again, Metroid Dread it's not a Luigi's Mansion 3 where in terms of its sales, where it's like, oh, we can never work with Mercury Steam again. Well, we'll get by. We're Nintendo, right?
Right.
So
I think they probably like that it was like a Game of the Year contender and stuff. Like that probably helps a little bit, but they definitely care more about the sales than they do about that.
Yep. Next thing here. Actually, this is something that might show up at the Direct tomorrow because VGC has a rumor saying that the Batman Arkham games could be coming to the Switch. Jeff, what do you think about this?
I don't know. Like, I'm not too surprised because I think that people are trying to figure out more ways to bring more games to the Switch. At the same time, though, those ones, I don't know. The ports for most of those games should be able to run on the Switch almost no problem. Like a lot of them launched on 360, right? For the most part.
Sure. I mean, again, and Arkham City came out for the Wii U.
Right. And Arkham City came out for the Wii U. Exactly. So it's like, I don't know. Ports of those seem to make some sense. I bet they would do pretty good. Like if there was like a trilogy on the Switch, or like and the quadrilogy. I don't know how many.
Night would be the difficult one because that was PlayStation 4, Xbox One era stuff.
Right,
so
but
Night would be difficult.
So I guess even if you put them out for like $20 to $30 each, like some of those, and like maybe like Origins is like, or
maybe it's a trilogy with Origins instead of instead of Arkham Knight. Why not?
Yeah, I'd be interested. I probably wouldn't play them there because I have other ways to play those games handheld now. But I would probably,
right, yeah, exactly.
But still, it's like okay, it's cool. That audience buys a lot of games. You would probably sell enough to make your money back on that endeavor. So yeah, I see that.
So Platinum's new CEO said that he wants to create larger, riskier games, hinting pretty heavily out of focus at live service titles. Jeff, this is a lot of people despairing. Yeah. I don't know how you read it. I mean, they have that Babylon's Fall thing coming out soon, which is
that's a live service, right? Yeah.
Right, so I mean, I guess we'll see how that does. I feel like it's not going to do very well. I don't know who's really excited for that game, but I don't know.
Yeah, people are like the chatter saying like the Bandai Namco's not in trouble. Even if they're not in trouble, like some people could be looking for exits because like companies are worth more now than they've ever been worth. So Bandai Namco, maybe the people who invest in Bandai Namco want to sell. I don't think that's going to happen.
Bungie wasn't in trouble,
right? Bungie, exactly. Right, like yeah. But yeah, so when it comes to Platinum, either they're looking at like the reality on the ground of like what the industry is right now, and if you want to have long-term predictable success, a live service game is kind of the best way to get there. There's a lot of feast and famine and like high tide, low tide stuff associated with taking contracts to make games and publishing games as products, and it's a vestige of an old way of doing business, and a lot of people are looking around saying there are new ways of doing things, and maybe we should be doing those as well. I think Platinum here is probably going to keep doing stuff like working with Nintendo on games, and they'll probably keep making those games as products, and they'll take a big check from Nintendo to make those games, and then take some bonuses on the end if the games do well and all that stuff. But then they have said for a while now that their interest is in self-publishing, and if you're self-publishing as a studio that's kind of medium or smallish size, it makes a lot of sense to go live service because they like you want to be able to like look at a spreadsheet and say we can count on this amount of money coming in, and you can only really do that with live service. You can't do that with a product game.
Jeff, people have been talking about acquisitions, what Nintendo might get, including us. And I know that Platinum is they've talked a lot about self-publishing, and they seem to kind of be happy there. But again, it's a dangerous field, and that's why they're probably looking at live service games because they want that steady stream of income. Do you think that they're looking to sell? Is there any chance of that? And is that anything Nintendo would possibly be interested in? They have worked with them a lot.
Yeah, I think that they're like, I think that's probably on the table. I bet that's like at least in their back pocket, or considering like, hey, if we have to, we could probably sell to someone, and maybe Nintendo would even be interested in picking us up. Now, I don't know how much. I think maybe there'd be more interest there from Platinum than from Nintendo. Like, I don't know how much Nintendo would be willing to pay for Platinum. I think that they would love to keep that working relationship, but I can't imagine them saying like, okay, Platinum's in trouble and we need to spend money on them to keep them. For me, I just don't see it like the next level. I don't see it working out like next level. I think it would be maybe too expensive compared to what they would get out of it in terms of being able to keep this talent collected and working together on projects. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel they have they have their, I can't remember his name, but their president, he seems like such an eclectic guy too. I don't know. I can't imagine him taking marching orders from anybody. He seems like a guy who just wouldn't want to sell to me.
Right, and they've taken investments from Tencent and a few others, I think, in the past few years. So it's like, I think they're probably okay for a while, and they're probably going to release one or two of these live service things, or games that probably have live service elements. We say live service things like that's all they're going to be. They're probably going to be a combination of things with some live service elements in them. But they'll probably release a few games and try to see how they can do. And if one hits, they'll be fine.
What's weird is that they made that mobile game that was going to be a live service game. Then it got turned into just like an Apple Arcade thing. So
right, and then Babylon's Fall was going to be just like a product game, and now they've sort of slowly added like long-term replayability to keep live service elements going with that. I get why it's hard to navigate. It seems like a tough space to figure out exactly what you should be doing with any given game.
Okay, next thing here. So Pokemon Legends Arceus is selling very well, Jeff. They had a tweet sometime during last week saying, well, thank you to the more than 6.5 million explorers who have already embarked, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a giant hit, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's second in terms of like the rate of sales behind only was it Animal Crossing or something like that on the Switch or something like that. Like there's like only... Right. Yeah. Like there's only one game on the Switch that has had a faster start than this. And I mean, that means it's like the fastest selling Pokemon game on the Switch. I think it's like one of the fastest selling Pokemon games, period. This seems like it's going to be a smash hit. We could look back. It was a Brilliant Diamond, Shiny Pearl just came out. Like after a few weeks, it was already at 15 million copies sold. Like 2 months maybe. So like 8 weeks. This seems like it's going to be on a similar trajectory and probably overall like better and even more rapid trajectory in terms of sales. So 16, 17 million in the first 2 months doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibility, which is just huge. It's just massive numbers.
Yep. Last little thing, this is kind of cute. Humongous entertainment adventure games like Pajama Sam, Putt Putt, Freddy Fish, and Spy Fox have launched on the Nintendo Switch.
This is great.
These are the games that Ron Gilbert, the Monkey Island creator, actually made after he left LucasArts.
Oh, really? So, I didn't know it was after. Yeah. I wasn't paying a huge amount of attention at the time. I was aware of these games. For some reason, like Putt Putt always just seemed like it was just always there. So I didn't realize it came out after those games. Neat.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So that's pretty neat to see. Switch makes sense for those. Those are great games for younger kids. Actually, my brother should think about getting these for. I know that all of their kids just got Switches for Christmas. They would like
perfect,
Putt Putt and stuff like that. Yeah.
I put Putt Putt on all the Putt Putt games because they're on Steam, and I put those on my kids like touchscreen laptop and have her play those every once in a while. And they were like she's like 4 at the time, so they're a little bit complicated. But I bet she'd have a much easier time with them now. So yeah, I'll put them on the Switch and let her take a shot at it.
All right, Jeff, we got a lot of questions. We got a lot of answers to our topic. We should start getting to
Let's get into it.
All right. We'll get to Super Chat questions after we talk about these ones from our Discord community. So hang on tight if you send a Super Chat or plan to. Nintendo Bro asks, will Nintendo make a DLC for Arceus? They typically like to announce that a game is getting DLC when it launches, and I don't recall hearing anything about that for Arceus. They had a pretty substantial DLC plan for Sword and Shield, Jeff. They actually had expansions. I wonder if they kind of crunched the numbers and figured out if that was worth it or not. Right,
because they will have like a chance now to look and see, okay, so for past Pokemon games, we would release Yellow instead of an expansion because Game Boy didn't have expansions. But like that's the path that they did for a very long time, where they'd have a Black and White, and then they did Black and White 2, and they would kind of just and like there would be like spin-offs of the original games. Sometimes they'd be like very different in content. Sometimes they'd be the same game with some variations. But then
life things.
Right, and this is like what Monster Hunter did for a long time, where they'd have Monster Hunter come out, and then you get Monster Hunter G or whatever it is. I'm sorry, I'm not really very familiar with Monster Hunter, but basically people know what I mean.
That sounds about right.
And so with Pokemon now, they have gone the way that Monster Hunter did it recently, where it's like instead of doing that, we're just going to release expansions for the game. And now Pokemon's done that, and I think the Pokemon Company and Nintendo will all look at all the numbers and they'll be like, did those expansions do well, or did they do better than if we were to release a new standalone game that is basically just an expand-alone?
Pokemon Gun.
Right, yeah, Pokemon Gun, right, instead of Sword and Shield. I think that there's a chance that the reason they didn't announce the DLC is because they're doing exactly what Mike said, and they're going to look at this and they're going to figure it out. And I don't know which way they end up going. I bet we get an expansion. I bet we get DLC for this, but then I think for the next one, they probably started off with a plan of like, okay, we're either going to start off with an expansion or we're going to start it off with the plan to do the expand alone. But this time I bet they're just playing the wait and see game.
Dr. Suss says Nintendo has always had funky naming to their consoles. Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube, Wii, Switch. The only console that took the previous console name into consideration was a massive flop, the Wii U. What are your wildest
guesses? That's right, because the Game Boy Color is not an expansion. He's talking about home
Game Boy Advance, Jeff. What are your wildest guesses for the name of the Switch successor? Even because Super Nintendo / Super Famicom is taking the NES or Famicom.
I get the overall.
I know what he means.
Yeah, I get what he means. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think they need to have the name Switch in there. I don't know. Honestly, if it was just Switch 2, I know it's not super creative. I feel like that would be the best thing to do, especially after the Wii U thing. And especially with so many people like thinking a Switch Pro might come out. You do not want people thinking that it is an iteration. You want it to be very clear that this is the Switch 2.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So maybe the only other thing that can kind of convey that is Super Switch. Otherwise, I think it might confuse people.
Yeah, I was wondering if they would go to like a model of like just calling this the Switch forever, even if it does get a big upgrade. But you're right, consoles are not phones, and they're not tablets. And when people when they have one and they're going to go to buy a new one, they want to feel like they're getting a big upgrade. It's what we talked about with like when we went from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. Even though they didn't need to change the UI and all this stuff, you still kind of want them to because you don't want to feel like you're just getting the same thing again, right? And in the long run, I think a lot of people are like, okay, yeah, this thing still needs some work, but in its Xbox, it wasn't as exciting at the time, but I'm fine with this same old thing. It's whatever. But with when you're going out to buy a console and you're spending a lot of money but you've been waiting an entire generation, you kind of want all those things going in the favor and making it feel like it's a brand new thing. So I think overall, Mike's right. It's probably just going to be Switch 2. What is my wildest guess? My wildest guess would be they just call it the Nintendo. But people say that every generation. It never happens. Yeah.
Nintendo Bro asks, a couple hundred years from now, when Nintendo gets ready to release the 64th installment of Mario Kart, what are they going to call it? I'm pretty sure society will collapse by then, so this won't be an issue.
I have much more faith in society than I do.
Yeah, I hope they just call it like Mario Kart 1 or something stupid, or maybe they'll just call it Mario Kart 65. They'll just skip over, like, do that one.
Mario Kart 60, the Mario Kart 64. There you go.
There you go. Screaming Madden says, before Kirby and the Forgotten Lands release, are you two going to tier list rank every Kirby game? Man, that'd be fun, but it's like
a lot of Kirby games.
Yeah, right. So then it would be, well, let's just do mainline Kirby games, but then you're missing out on a lot of the best ones, really, like Avalanche and Rainbow or Canvas Curse. So and it's hard to like how am I going to play Kirby Tilt and Tumble right now? I don't know. I would like to maybe do something like that, though. We do need to do tier lists again. We kind of stopped doing that once we started doing Nintendogs. But maybe we'll find an excuse.
Maybe we could at least do like one a month or something like that. Maybe we make it like bonus content or something like that.
Sure.
Slain McAwesome in the chat says, I can't wait for Mario Kart 69. And it just reminded me when I was very excited about Nintendo 64 coming out in junior high. It was when kids started like being pretty mean about being into video games. And he's like, oh yeah, I can't wait for Super Mario 69. And it stuck with me all these years. Like where someone just like thought they were going to really get me by saying Super Mario 69. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, you have a good day.
You realize if you had gone to school 10 years later, that would just not be a thing. No one got made fun of for playing games anymore. Apparently.
Oh, yes, I know. It was it was a weird period. Yeah.
Everyone in my cousin's high school football team played World of Warcraft together.
Right,
exactly. When he told me that, I was just like, what? Okay. That's great, but wow.
Yep.
Redfall says, forgot to reply to my answer to last week's question. Oh, so he just wanted to tell us what his most underrated Nintendo game is. And to him, it's Last Window on DS. It's the sequel to Hotel Dusk that never came to North America due to the developer getting bankrupt when Nintendo NA was still localizing the game. At least that's how I remember it. Could be wrong. It's a great visual novel and better than Hotel Dusk, in my opinion. But I know even some fans of Hotel Dusk didn't know the game exists until I brought it up then. I guess I can ask a related question. What is your favorite visual novel? Man, I always know that there's a sequel to Hotel Dusk, and I liked Hotel Dusk a lot, but I also know it just never came out here. So, and that's a shame, but someday maybe I'll find a way to play it. What is my favorite visual novel?
There's a fan translation, right? Did they say that? Yeah, I would play that. I liked Hotel Dusk.
I mean, if we consider the Phoenix Wright games to be visual novels, which they are pretty close to being, I guess I could probably just say Phoenix Wright. Maybe specifically the third one was that Trials and Tribulations. Just Phoenix Wright, Trials, Tribulations. I forget the third one, the one with the guy who drinks coffee. What about you, Jeff? Have you ever even played a visual novel? Are they all erojis or whatever they're called?
I opened up Honey Pop yesterday. Is that a visual novel?
No, it's a puzzle game. But I'm glad. Does it run on your Steam Deck?
Yes, that did work. Operation Sexy Sudoku.
Now, if you got it on Steam, you have to download a patch. They really appreciate the game.
Okay,
Jeff.
well, I'll see if that might not work. Actually, I'll have to look into that. Operation Sexy Sudoku, though, however, is still not working. I got a DM last night from Jason Wilson, like, I hope that's just a code name for a game and not a real game. I'm like, Jason, it's a real game, but I'm just playing it for the jokes. All right, don't worry about it. Does Professor Layton count? I don't know. Is that a?
I don't know. That's more puzzly. I don't know.
I'm feeling very judged right now. I don't have an answer. I haven't
played very many pure graphic novel games. I'll be honest. I played that. What was that one with the?
I read novels. How about that? I read an actual book.
Sure.
Try that once, nerds.
You're a big brain. I'm going to stop myself before I say the name of that game I was thinking about. I never played a Danganronpa. Maybe I should play Danganronpa sometime.
Yeah, people love Danganronpa.
Or Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki Doki Literature Club's a thing. Casual says, Dear Nintendogs, you wake up one morning and boom! You now have the power to have any song, gaming related or otherwise, stuck inside your co-host's head. Here are the rules. The effect lasts 24 hours. You can do this once every 2 weeks. The theme song from Cruise and Blast is exempt from this power.
Okay.
Which song do you choose? If it were me, you'd have the slightly racist but also catchy pizza song from Lego Island. I mean, for me, it would absolutely just be simple and clean from Kingdom Hearts is what I would. It's where Jeff would.
Yeah, mine very easily would be Dragula by Robert Zombie. So.
Well, there you go. Okay, this is a long one here, but VJ Incoming says, Hey, Nintendogs. No question this week, but as someone who's worked for a video game music label, I thought I might offer a tinfoil hat explanation for why Nintendo doesn't release their music for public consumption since it came up in the news last week. In the music legal world, there's something called a mechanical license, which states that any commercially available music can be legally licensed by a cover artist that create their own version of it, even monetizing it. There's also something called a compulsory license, which states that the cover artist doesn't even have to seek permission from the original copyright holder as long as they paid the licensing fee in the first place. All of this goes into effect as long as the original copyright holder, Nintendo in this case, has been allowed their rights to legally distribute the product first. Most of the Western world has these laws in place, but Asian countries are much stricter, which is why Nintendo regularly releases physical soundtracks of their games in Japan. My theory is that Nintendo prioritizes IP protection over collecting checks for throwing their music on streaming services, and that's why you don't see their soundtracks released very often.
I think it's either this. I'm sorry. I think it's either this or they're just like lazy about it and they don't like it's not worth it to them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. VJ's convincing me. I'll get the tinfoil for both of us.
That makes some sense. Thought the Prime says, I keep hearing about how the Mister is something amazing for playing old games. Should I get a Mister like Jeff Gertzman to play my old video games or stick to RetroArch? By the way, if Nintendo is listening, I swear my grandmother's grave, I own all the games I play on RetroArch.
Okay. I am of the opinion that I'm going to continue sticking with RetroArch. And I felt really good about this because a man named Modern Vintage Gamer was like, yeah, like emulation's been great for so long. And then a week ago, this betrayer does a video about how awesome the Mister is and how he was so wrong and he should have been embracing it from the start. And now I'm like, damn it, I'm going to have to get a Mister. He did a video on this, and I would go and watch that and see if it convinces you. I started it, and I was like, kind of like, oh man, I can't get into another thing. I just can't get into another thing. But I'm still gonna plan to watch the whole thing. I would watch that, see how you're feeling. If you're happy with RetroArch, I found that every time I like get something, even like an analog thing, like one of like the analog Super NT, even when I get one of these things that's really great for emulating through hardware, one of these old systems, I still just kind of want the convenience of RetroArch on my PC. That's what works for me. And I get all the stuff set up and it's ready to go. But maybe, I don't know. Mister's great. Mister is a really cool project.
Okay. Next one here. This is from Velocity Prime. Given the somewhat shocking success of Arceus and the results of Jeff's Twitter poll, do you think that people continue to underrate the success of the Switch? Like, how many times are we going to talk about games that don't cross the Luigi's Mansion line? I think most people get it. honestly. I think most people are pretty stunned by the Switch's success.
Yeah, I think that I think overall, I think that people are just big fans of Elden Ring, and so when they saw that poll, they were just like, "Elden Ring, I'm going to click on Elden Ring." Like they don't think about it much more than that. And I bet if they did think about it,
this poll was Jeff asking what do people think is going to be the best-selling game in February.
Yes, and it was like the second month of Pokemon games. It's easy to be like, I'm just like I think about that much. I'm excited about Elden Ring. Everyone I talk to is excited about Elden Ring. Like it's a self-selection bias, and they don't think about it much beyond that.
Next one here, Alindalin says, with the success of Pokemon Legends Arceus, do you think mainline Pokemon games will finally evolve? I bounced off of every Pokemon I've tried to play since Pokemon Gold, but I've been seriously hooked on Arceus this last weekend. Jeff, I'm split on this. Some stuff they absolutely have to carry over.
Yes.
Some of the quality of life things. I think just the idea of Pokemon being in the world now, even a Sword and Shield, people were kind of upset that there was still random battles because the Let's Go games didn't, and they had the small open world area where they didn't. So I imagine that will be there. I still see them having 2 series of Pokemon games now because again, Sword and Shield still very, very successful, and it still does that thing that Pokemon's so good with getting a new generation of fans into it every single time they release one of these. So I don't think they're going to want to tinker too much. I think the next mainline Pokemon game is still going to have you get your starter, travel a world, go to town,
find gyms,
fight gym leaders, or Sun and Shield didn't, or Sun and Moon didn't have gym leaders, but they had an equivalent to it, something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And then there will be a sequel to Arceus, is what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I think that I think random battles numbers or days are numbered. I think in everything for the most part. I think that even the most traditional RPGs are going to look at that system and be like, what is this really inherent to the fun of what we were doing? I don't think so. So that at the very least is on its way out.
Next one here from Reese Elliott. If you could choose any Nintendo character to be president of the United States of America, who would you choose? Why? I have a recurring joke with my friends where I just pretend that the video game Daikatana ran for president and won, and I just will randomly when we're hanging out. Yeah, I'll just say here's the president Daikatana.
Well, that's a Nintendo 64 game, right? So
sure, yeah. So but not a Nintendo character, just a game. So who should run for president and win? I think Captain Falcon would be a very funny president. I don't know why, but that's the first one that came to my head.
Yeah, that kind of fits with where we're at these days. I think
he's the loudest person I know, so he gets to be president.
Exactly. Yes. I think Professor E. Gads would be good, but he probably is not president. Maybe he's a vice president. I don't know. Fawful would be good.
Fawful is just a minion.
Okay, then Tingle for president. There we go.
There you go. I like how many questions this week have started with the success of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Anyways, from Pablo Cross, with the success of Pokemon Legends Arceus, do you think Kirby and the Forgotten Land, another game try something new, will become the most successful title in the franchise? Man, I really got caught up on this hype with Metroid, and it seemed to be right. Metroid Dread is going to become the best-selling Metroid game, probably. Kirby should. Kirby has a slightly higher ceiling than the Metroid games. I think the best-selling Kirby game ever has sold over
3D.
5 million copies.
It's a 3D game.
The best-selling Kirby game ever, I think, is actually still the first one, which is kind of weird for these things.
Metroid for NES was a pretty good seller, too, as well.
Right. But this seems like, I think it's going to sell better than Kirby Star Allies or whatever.
Yes.
I think so. It should, Jeff. I think, I hope so. If this,
I think it's definitely going to be the best. I think it's definitely going to be the best-selling Kirby game. It's going to be the most successful title in the franchise by far, I think. This one is going to get more of the Switch bump than Metroid did because it's a 3D game.
So the best-selling Kirby game right now is Kirby's Dream Land with 5.13 million copies sold. So it would have to sell over 5 million copies, which would be impressive. So
it's also a family game. It's gonna just smash. It's gonna be huge.
Kirby Star Allies is the second best-selling game with 3.15 million sold. So just for context there. Turbo Sean asks, Jeff, who's your favorite Pokemon in Arceus and why is it Meep?
Oh yeah, the Meep is definitely one of my favorite. Meep is traumatizing to me because whenever I see it, I feel bad about beating him up because my kid's gonna get mad at me and hit herself.
So Jeff's kid loves lobsters and crustaceans, but she calls them Meeps. And then Jeff was playing Pokemon. She was just calling anything that looked slightly like a lobster, and some things that didn't. She's just calling them Meeps.
Right. It's things she likes mostly. Yes. So you say, yeah, and then so my favorite one's definitely a Meep, because that covers most of the Pokemon. I think I've been liking I like my starter, but that's a real basic answer. I don't know. I like the Pachirisu or Pachirisu, whatever it is, that like follow up of the Pikachu, the white one, the white squirrel that's electric. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I caught that level 40 Rapidash, the Alpha Rapidash, and every time I throw him out and he's 11 feet tall and just towering over everything else, especially if it's a really tiny Pokemon, it's just the funniest thing in the world. Right now, that's my favorite thing about that game.
Alex says, do you think we'll see another Pokemon generation this year? Would Gen 9 be too far in development to embrace the changes of Arceus if they weren't already going to incorporate that into the mainline titles? I don't think we're getting Gen 9 this year.
No,
I know about next year. So I wouldn't worry about that. Even still, even if they like are too far into development, there are certain things that were just logical, like we were talking about with random battles and so forth. Jumpmat asks, what are some of your favorite 3D platformers from indie studios? Demon Turf is pretty good. That's on Switch. Its combat was clunky, and they even like made a patch that like took out some of the mandatory combat sections. So that's interesting. A lot of 3D indie games are like 3D platforms from these years. They're so close to being there, Jeff, but there's like just something off. Even Hat from Time, I know, is a really popular one. I can't quite get into it. Ukulele has its issues too. Yeah. 3D platforms are just very hard to make. And I think we're getting close to this golden era of indie 3D platformers, but I don't know if we're quite there yet. I don't know if you had any other games you wanted to throw in there.
Did you mention Demon Girl or
Demon's Girl? Yeah, that's one with the
yes.
Demon's Girl. Yeah, that's the one with the combat that they
the combat. But I mean the combat wasn't great in Mario 64 either. But it's like there's just more combat in the Demon. Yeah, in the Demon one. I can't remember what the second word is.
It has like mandatory combat sections.
Yes.
Demon's Turf.
Exactly. Jeff. Yeah, Demon's Turf. Yes, exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Jayton says, what's your favorite piece of Nintendo-themed clothing you own, if you own any? Oh, I like my GameCube shirt. That's for sure.
Yeah, I like the Game Boy Color sweater, the black one, that has just the whole outline of the Game Boy Color, but it's like not even the outline, just the buttons, because it's like a black Game Boy and a black sweater. I like that one a lot. I bought another one that says the Game Boy Color, has the logo here, because the first one I bought from Redbubble, and it was just some schmuck printing it on a shirt, and it's like after washing it 5 times, it's already like really cracked. So I bought another one of those from a different place, from Etsy this time, and hoping I get better luck with like the quality. I mean, these are all officially licensed merchandise and apparel from Nintendo. Please don't come for me, Doug. I'm sorry, Doug.
Aiko says, as Nintendo matures as an entertainment company across different forms of media, similar to the early decades of Disney, which franchises, creators, or game types could you see them vaulting for a few decades, only pulling them out for anniversaries? 18 years between 2D Metroids, 16 years between Mother 3. Are you prepared to be in your 50s, 60s when the next installment of a series you enjoy releases? I think vaulting's not a thing anymore. I mean, that's why Disney made Disney Plus, and that's why they destroyed the vault. I don't think anyone's going to ever go back to that vault system, so I don't think we have to worry about this one.
Yeah, it just doesn't, like, you could get more value by creating a vault that everyone can subscribe to, and if you can subscribe to it, you can access all the stuff in it. So yeah, that's just, they're not going to do that again. It doesn't make sense in this economy.
The reason Disney had a vault was because they used to just release their movies again every like 18 years, basically every generation.
Right.
Because there were new kids. Then when VHS came out and home media, they're like, well, we'll release our movies, but like a limited quantity of them so that we can sell them again every 10 years and so forth. And that's why they had the vault, but that's why it's not a thing anymore. Now it's just a platform because everybody needs content. So you don't purposely get rid of content.
Right.
New Fee Legit says, happy Tuesday, fellow Nintendogs. What are the chances that Metroid Prime 4 has some kind of multiplayer component? Nintendo does have Splatoon and has a shooter, but do you think they could make a decent FPS multiplayer mode? Make it like an Arena-style shooter, but incorporate Samus's different abilities, and I think you have a solid foundation. I don't think they're going to, Jeff. I think they'll still remember what happened with Metroid Prime 2, and again, they have Splatoon now.
Real quick, do we get at least a teaser trailer for the Mario movie in this direct? No, 54%. Yes, 45%. We'll see who's right tomorrow. Probably Mike. All right, here's a new poll. What was this thing? This was what we were just talking about. Do we get a multiplayer component in Metroid Prime 4? I want to see how many people think this, because I think there's no way in hell. But I've heard other people who are certain that's going to happen, and I'm just like, there's just no way.
I don't know about no way. I don't know about no way in hell. I'd be pretty surprised. All right, that's our new poll then. Jeff, are you capable of listening to this question while you prepared this poll?
No, but I'll do my best.
Nintendo Bro says, I was catching up on the latest episode of Game Speak Decides, and at some point, Jeff described The Running Man as a perfect movie. Yeah. After the greatness that we all witnessed at the end of the Let's Go Eevee streamathon, I need to know, has Jeff added Dragon Ball Evolution to his list of perfect movies? I wait your reply with bated breath. Jeff, explain what happened. Why did we have to watch Dragon Ball Evolution?
Yeah, so I was going to do a 12-hour marathon, and Mike and Turbo Sean and Christian and a bunch of other people showed up and hung out with me. And I was playing Pokemon, and I was going to play Pokemon for that time. We played Mario Party for a little bit in between, but we were just going to mostly have me play Pokemon, and everyone else just kind of talking. And we got through the 12 hours, and right as I was getting finished, Dan Reichard, who was watching Dragon Ball Evolution with his audience through the Prime, like share play, share watch, whatever it is, and he had apparently just watched it twice because someone donated, I think, $500 to $1,000 for him to watch. I think it was $500 or something like that. And he got finished, so he sent his audience over to us, and we were about to wrap up. I'm like, we're not gonna go. And then everyone said, well, watch Dragon Ball Evolution. I'm like, well, there's no way we're doing that. And I think Mike said, if someone gives us $2,000, we'll watch it. Or if we get $2,000 worth of donations for Eevee for this charity stream over in the next couple of minutes, we'll do it. And we got about a rush of like $100, $150 from everyone watching, and we were about to wrap up. And right then, Turbo Sean's like, Jeff, we just got a $2,000 anonymous donation, and there's the clip of this online. If I'll retweet it, but it was incredible. Like, yeah, it was also like really devastating because then we had to watch Dragon Ball Evolution. And,
that was my second time seeing it. I saw it in the theaters, man.
I will say this. It's the perfect length for Dragon Ball Evolution.
It's like 80 minutes long. It's very short. It's embarrassingly short. It's hardly a movie.
Yes, it is mostly just a flash of scenes happening one after the other in a real just schizophrenic way. But whatever, it was fun hanging out, watching, making fun of the movie. I had a good time. If we get $2,000 today, we'll definitely do it again. So we're at $26. Sure. So I don't think so.
Yeah. Bench JC says, with the recent announcement of the Nintendo Direct, is there a chance of Mass Effect coming to Switch or even the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters? I hope for the Pixel remasters. 6 is coming this month, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for us to even get a date. I wouldn't be shocked by the Pixel remasters being a thing. I hope they just all come out. I hope it's not like a staggered release again.
It's going to be staggered release again.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
What about Mass Effect, Jeff? Any chance?
Still no chance. I still don't think they're working on it, so I could double check, but I think I would have heard if that had changed.
Yes. Did I say Pistol remasters? Apparently I said Pistol remasters instead of Pixel remasters at some point. I stutter. Look, I made a mistake of drinking this Diet Dr. Pepper again during the stream, and of course it's making me gassy, and I don't know why I do this to myself.
And it's caffeine. Like, you're on edge. It's all right. It happens.
Edge of 25. Exactly how many minutes during the Direct are they going to spend on the most important Nintendo release of the year, Kirby in the Forgotten Land? Jeff, did you accidentally bleep me?
Yeah, but it shouldn't have covered you up. It probably just covered up my silence over here. Sorry about that. And honestly, they might not have heard it because they might have got caught by my NVIDIA broadcast.
Just trying to throw me off. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, a decent amount, but you can't need more than 5 minutes to talk about that. As I am about this game.
It is like a big game coming out in next month, though. So it does feel like it might get a pretty big showcase here. But you're right, 5 minutes, even that seems pretty excessive.
Yeah, exactly. Velocity Prime says, will the new Fire Emblem game have more or less waifus than before? Gosh.
I say more than Fates and more than what was the most recent? 3 Houses and less than Awakening.
Right, because like in Awakening, you were marrying off everybody.
Yes.
Right, everybody was getting married, but 3 Houses did have the 3 different paths, so you had 3 potential like girl rosters, right?
I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go back to the golden era of everyone's getting married and
everyone's getting the golden era.
Golden Era, like, you get a
Everyone's getting
waifu,
married.
you get a husbando, you get a just for every single character. I don't know. It was the series at its best, Awakening. So
I feel like the series is never going to be able to escape from this waifu.
No, it is
madness that it's
definitely a half a dating game now. Yeah,
it is half a dating game now, for better, mostly for better.
Yeah, better. Yeah.
Winnie says Nintendo investing in the Mariners created a controversy in the 90s. What would be a left field, pun intended, investment Nintendo could make today? I won't say NFTs. What if Nintendo invested in the crypto.com?
Right.
And they got Matt Damon to do a bunch of commercials calling people pussies if they don't buy crypto or something.
I feel because it was a controversy because it was like a big Japanese corporation investing in our American baseball. Was that right? I don't remember the exact controversy.
I don't remember why it was controversial, to be honest. No, I wasn't.
I bet back then it was probably still close enough to the 80s that people were like,
probably
Japan's
racism.
coming for us. Yeah, probably racism. So I'm like trying to think like what possibly could be equivalent to it. Like if they invested in like private schools, like charter schools in America or something, like they're going to indoctrinate our kid into Pikachu. Like maybe that would be it, but I'm having just trouble imagining like what people would really get up in arms about Nintendo Day. Nintendo's so associated with wholesomeness that most people do not associate them with the threat of Japanese imperialism anymore.
Courageous That's a funny thing to say. Courageous McBasketball. Why won't Nintendo remake the Fire Emblem game Roy originated in? So Roy originated in the first Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem game that we did not get in the West.
That's actually wrong. He originated in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, they're correct. Melee, yes. They will remake that game eventually. They're going to remake probably some of the 16-bit ones first. I know, like the rumor, there's one of the 60-bit ones specifically. Rachel's probably going to say the name in chat because I see this here. But that's probably what they're going to remake next. But instead of the was it Blazing Blade or something like that? It's called, I forget. But they'll get there. Jeff, that's it for the questions from the community. Do you have some super chats you would like to read?
I do indeed. Let me scroll down here. This is why is there seem like there's only two here?
There's not. There's got a.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just see if I can let me refresh here. Okay, there we go. It just took a second. Okay, so I'm gonna start here. Looks like James Gold came in a few hours ago. Let's get to him. Everyone says Mina the Hollower looks like a Game Boy Color game, but not Game Boy. Why is that? For real though, and he's clearly just teasing me.
It's the color.
For real though, it looks great. Hoping for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Silk Song tomorrow. It does look great. Like that Game Boy Color aesthetic is fantastic. It's more fantastic now than it was then. But if a game was like made for Game Boy Color, it actually usually looks pretty good. Like Mario Golf for Game Boy Color. It's just like super bright and colorful, and I love it. Do you think we get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Silk Song tomorrow? Pick one, Mike. Which one's there for sure?
Silk Song.
He believes everybody.
Silk Song. Rachel did help me. Genealogy of the Holy Wars, the Super Nintendo one, I think is getting remade next.
Well, that'd be fun. From Fanto, sir. Zelda, will we get a title reveal or gameplay? We were leaning towards title reveal more than gameplay, but maybe some gameplay teaser. Yeah.
Maybe they just like show different angles of the things they showed before. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. From AR Not Skywalker, Pikmin 4. Say it with him. See it with me, everyone. Is it dead? I don't think it's dead, but I also don't know if it's alive. Like I don't know if it's like imminent is basically, but
Jeff, you got into trouble before for saying that games were canceled that were never actually in production to begin with, so we have to be careful.
Yes, yeah. Let's just say that Pikmin 4 is probably still coming. I don't know. G-Man Sir says apologize to Greg Miller. I don't know what for, but I never ever will.
I was about to say, what'd you do now?
No, I feel like it's something at the beginning of the show, and I have no idea. I can't remember that long ago. That was like an hour ago. From Major Blazer, please God give me Arms 2. I feel like God will have nothing to do with Arms 2.
God will not. God's gonna stay out of arm's reach of that one.
From Hitch, do we see Prime remastered tomorrow? Do you think? I think I said I flipped and I said yes to that one. So I think we do, and I think it comes out this summer.
I feel like I'm almost leaning towards no, just because I'm being pessimistic, and in this specific moment, I feel like I don't deserve good things, so that's why I won't get it.
Well, listen, no one ever said that. No one ever said you deserve good things. From Victor Marinez, at the direct, I'm tentatively expecting a new Fire Emblem. I'm hoping for anything Resident Evil, and my Hail Mary is an ARMS 2D or 3D platformer. I guess we need to think about, like, maybe there's an ARMS spinoff. Yeah.
That's interesting. That would almost, I would certainly be more interested in that.
Yeah, you can make a Spider-Man game, like but like just with ARMS characters, so like using the arms like a webbing.
Only if it's Twin Tail. None of this. Well, of course. Any other characters things. We didn't even talk about Resident Evil, but that's something people have been kind of thinking for a while. That Switch is going to get its own Resident Evil game. Maybe we'll see that.
Gecko Gamer, Bandai is the second largest toy company worldwide behind Lego. Right? Yes, it's a massive thing. So it'd be.
Again, I mean, Nintendo could have some use for a toy. If Nintendo wanted to get into that field, why not? Like, it's not like them getting into health clubs. You know, if they got Konami,
right?
It makes some sense there.
It's just in this world, just not out of the realm of possibility. It is actually, like, I could see a world where that happens, and I never would have thought that a few years ago. I believe that is all the super chats. Mike, we have a topic that we were talking about last week that we said we were going to talk about this week. What is it, so that I can come up with an answer?
Oh, yes. The topic for this week was the most controversial Nintendo game.
Damn, that's a tough one. I should have thought about this before this moment.
Yeah, right. Imagine.
I'm gonna have to think. You want to do you want to say yours or like start reading some?
There's some obvious ones. I know that people in our chat have kind of talked about them a bit. I kind of still go to Majora's Mask when I think about this, even though Majora's Mask kind of got its flowers eventually. I feel like for a long time, though, Majora's Mask it seemed controversial in terms of what people liked it. If the people kind of thought it was lazy, if people thought that the time mechanics were frustrating or what have you. These days, mostly people just seem to like Majora's Mask, so it's fine. But it seemed to be the one that had got a lot of controversy for a long time. And some other ones did. Wind Waker, I think people brought that up, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But I always think Majora's Mask first. Jeff, do you have an answer to this question now that I've rattled on for a bit and bought you some time?
Yeah, I think so. And it's like one that I think is, I don't know. I feel like there's no perfect answer to this question, so I'll just go with this one. Super Smash Brothers Brawl seems controversial. Whether like...
Sure.
I think that there's like an audience there that was playing it at that time that was very happy with it, but there was the Melee audience that was never going to accept it, and then there was tripping in the game.
Tripping is very controversial. Well, tripping is just bad. It's not even controversial. It's just one of the worst things ever done to a game franchise.
Right.
It's the addition of a random number generator that randomly makes your character fall down on his butt in a fighting game.
Choice.
Just wow. And it was such a bizarre reaction to the fact that people were playing Melee as a serious fighting game, and the guy didn't like that. It's like, well, try playing it seriously when you randomly fall down, you jackass.
Right. I mean, I kind of respect it for that. Like, that's kind of like
that more than anything.
Go ahead.
Petty move.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Smash Brothers sure to start selling even more copies once with Ultimate, when they're just like, actually, let's just make the game for everybody instead. That'll go better. But I mean, gosh, there was a giant scene of modding Smash Brothers Brawl, right, to get rid of tripping, and to just basically make the game play more like Melee, and eventually they even just added their own characters and stuff like that. So yeah, Brawl's a pretty interesting answer, I think.
I feel like you're like there's no controversy there, because your opinion is settled now. But I think there's an audience that like we have like Nick Turbo, who's probably just trolling you, but he like loves everything about Brawl.
Brawl sold really well. I think it was the best-selling Smash game until Ultimate. So sure.
What the community have to say? I want to hear some of their answers, because I bet they're better than what I could come up with in 5 seconds.
Sure. Bench JC says, I'd say the most controversial Nintendo game is Pokemon Sword and Shield. That game made me hate the Pokemon community. Honestly, I love Sword and Shield a ton and had a blast and completed the Pokédex for the base game and both DLC areas. Sure, it's not perfect, but none of that deserves what happened online. So, gosh, yeah, I'm kind of... That's interesting. I think that's a decent answer. Sword and Shield. It was controversial. You did hear some people saying that they loved it. Some people were like freaking. Remember when like at first the game didn't have a complete Pokédex or something, and people were freaking out online, like they're going to boycott it. That kind of
national Dex. I need my national Dex.
That's right, the national Dex thing. Like, oh god, who cares? I play Pokemon games so differently than that. Like I play each one as its own thing. I have never ever considered transferring my Pokemon from one gen to another. I just don't get the point of it. That seems like cheating to me.
Do you think the Dex Drive was like named after people trading their like Pokemon Dexes or something? Like, I'm probably just like connecting dots that aren't there. But I'm like, okay,
I think not.
Okay, fair enough. It's just a random word that they chose.
I think you're just a dumb idiot.
Yeah, that's fair. That's possible.
Courageous McBasketball says the most controversial Nintendo game is apparently Super Metroid, since the one person here seems to hate that game quite a bit. I feel like I came up with a whole series of topics based off of Turbo Sean triggering me by saying that Super Metroid was overrated, and we're still on that train. Revit says people were mad about the GameCube Zelda back in the day, or Mortal Kombat, the congressional hearings. I guess Mortal Kombat had legal problems. I don't really associate that with Nintendo so much. But yeah, Wind Waker came up here. Other people are going to talk about Wind Waker too. VJ Incoming says every answer you get for this is wrong if it isn't Tokyo Mirage Sessions. That's the most controversial Nintendo game. It managed to piss off everyone. People were expecting some dark and edgy mix between Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei because that's how they announced it. They didn't get that. They got a Persona game that was somehow even more weepy than it already is. That just happens to star a few Fire Emblem characters. Remember the ridiculous vagina bones meme from the people that got angry at censorship in games? That was from this game. The only people who like this game were trash like me, who are already interested or invested in J-pop idols in real life. I love this game more than Persona 5. That's a good answer, man. It's weird because for me, Tokyo Mirage Sessions was just some game that I played, and it was as middle of an experience as I probably have ever had with a video game. Its combat was good, very forgettable characters, and it is weird how it is really pretty much a Persona game without nearly as much like social interaction. They just throw in some like monster version of Fire Emblem characters as your like guardian spirits, and that's really all the Fire Emblem there is in this thing. It's bizarre that they're like, we're gonna make a Fire Emblem crossover, and it's just a dash of Fire Emblem in there. Shin Megami Tensei is a weird. I'm not Shin Megami. Tokyo Mirage Sessions is a weird game. Nintendo Bro says the most controversial Nintendo game is Super Mario Strikers. We could have avoided the waifu husbando episode if it wouldn't have been for this game giving Jeff and Mike a sexy Daisy and Peach to fawn over. I guess I tell you what, for Nintendo it must have been controversial.
Yeah, since
they apparently no one can ever draw a picture of Daisy again unless Miyamoto looks at it and doesn't get an erection. Dr. Sus says the most. I'm definitely never getting out of Nintendo, Joe. Yeah. Dr. Sus says the most controversial Nintendo game is Breath of the Wild. Well, I think it's one of the best games of all time. For a lot of fans, it breaks the Zelda mold with an innovative structure, no traditional items and dungeons, etc. The discussion of whether it's a good game or a good Zelda game is stupid and endless. I usually hate the whole loud minority thing, Jeff. But I feel like with Breath of the Wild, it is just that loud minority that complains about this game. This game is obviously incredibly popular and incredibly successful and incredibly influential.
Yeah, and it's a bad Zelda game, or it's a good game. It's just a bad Zelda game. Is just an incorrect take. It's just bad. It's wrong. It's in like the people, like the fans. For fans, it breaks the Zelda mold. Those just people don't know what they're talking about.
Velocity Prime 1 says, on a pure level of controversy generated, the answer has to be something like Wind Waker or Sword and Shield. But I'll throw my hat for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Hey, look at that, bro. The follow-up to the series-defining game that flubbed a bunch of important details while also integrating elements that turned it into the beast it is now. Redfall says, Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U started with ginormous hype with the mech, the incredible scale of the open world, and one-of-a-kind graphics on Wii U when it first showed. Eventually, the game, even though it still is a good game, didn't quite meet that hype. Graphics were noticeably downgraded. Mech was not at all easy to obtain. You don't get your first one to like 30 hours in and it can't fly. The game is confusing with its systems and requires you to read the digital manual. Music was a mixed bag from the composer of Attack on Titan, and the story took a side seat. The game also seemed to have online co-op plan, but X halfway development, so it left a multiplayer, not really system that was quite awkward. That's interesting because like some people seem like almost furious that this game hasn't been ported to Switch already. But then I hear other people like, who cares? We don't need it on Switch. Gerber says the most controversial Nintendo game of relatively recent times, 6 years in recent, right, has to be Fire Emblem Fates on the 3DS. The original Japanese release had some questionable content with a mini game where you pet other characters that form a bond with them. I do remember that. And far more seriously gay conversation side plot. You could cure a female character for lesbian tendencies.
Yes.
That's right. A seriously more gay conversion side plot. That's right. Yeah. You could cure a female character for lesbian tendencies by spiking her drink so she would see your male character as a woman long enough for her to fall in love with you. Oh no! Oh, that's
Yep.
terrible. Yeah, that's gross. I tell you, I could just see the poor people at the treehouse like going through, like, oh my god,
Christ, yeah.
like they probably felt kind of gross about their job.
Yeah.
That made some oddballs angry. Apologies for the long answer and some of the terms used. I wasn't trying to cause offense, but it's hard to even describe that stuff without sounding off. Yeah, it sounds terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a decent answer. I mean, even aside from that, like Fates does have a kind of a controversial place. I think like almost no one likes it better than Awakening.
No, yeah.
It like lazily threw in the systems from Awakening without any good story reasons. The one cool thing Fates did do was the multiple like campaigns, but then Three Houses just did that better anyways too. So Screaming Madden says the most controversial Nintendo game has got to be Super Mario Sunshine, right? This ended up being the successor to Super Mario 64, and while it has its fans, not everyone seemed to vibe with how it played. Flood and its variations didn't always feel good to use. Camera felt wonky, and the act of cleaning up all of that Shadow Mario sludge got it in the way of the pure Mario platforming. Save for the super hard platforming levels without Flood. Jeff, I said before that I used to be a big Sunshine defender, and after playing it on the All-Star Collection, I've kind of backed off a little bit. So a lot of it still doesn't, like the stuff about the camera doesn't really bother me. I don't mind cleaning stuff up with Flood. My big thing really is the 30 frames per second is pretty dodgy for a Mario game. Like that's just
GameCube was so good, like hardware wise. They should have been able to figure that out.
There's clearly instances where that game was rushed out, and yeah, there are a lot of people who will never really get into it. I feel like it would have done better if there was a Super Mario 64 2 on the Nintendo 64 that people would have been slightly okay with these deviations. But it was such a long, like Super Mario 64 is such a successful game, but it took a long time to get a real sequel. And then Sunshine was so kind of different and weird. I understand why it didn't hit with everybody. Casual says the number one controversial Nintendo game is Federation Force for the 3DS. Imagine being that clueless to what people actually wanted in terms of a new game in the Metroid franchise. This is controversial, not in a sense that means divisive, which is like another way of looking at it. It was divisive
between Nintendo and people buying Nintendo games. Like, yeah, that was where the division was.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, it's definitely one of the biggest mistakes Nintendo's ever made.
Yes, absolutely.
Anderson64 says, most controversial game at the time has to be Wind Waker. Feels like the vibe has changed a lot since then, but I remember the peak of Wind Waker feedback was super negative. Yeah, that was, God, it was toxic, right? Before we were using that word, like the reaction to Wind Waker was so toxic back in the stage.
Yeah, we were inventing internet toxicity back then is what we were doing, yeah.
And I this almost sounds like I'm patting myself on the back for being on the right side of history, but I was on board with Wind Waker from the beginning. I liked the way it looked immediately. So I was
definitely looking around at all the people getting mad about that, and I was like, listen, I'm not sure about it, but I'm definitely not upset. And I think there's a strong chance that when like his cartoon eyes follow stuff around, I'm like, that looks unqualified amazing. And so I was like ready to believe, and by the time I got it, I was like, yes, I'm 100% on board with this game.
I remember people were like super indignant that Link was a kid. I was like, Link's been a kid in like every Zelda game except for half of Ocarina of Time. Like
that was when all the insecurity about like kiddie games was at its height, and it was so frustrating back then because it's like they're just making good games. I was so frustrated by that stuff.
Beathammer says, I think it's Super Mario Sticker Star, as it's the foundation for Paper Mario games going forward, despite series fans not being happy with it, preferring the older RPG-focused ones. Nintendo, please just re-release the 1,000-Year Door. Yeah, Sticker Star is kind of in that Federation Force category, where it's controversial just for being bad.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse says, Breath of the Wild, people seem to like it, but it's mostly just a bad Ubisoft clone with some neat physics. Wow.
Jesse always trolls about Nintendo games, though.
Wow.
I'll come for you eventually, Jesse. You will rue the day that you said this.
Matt Rare Monkey says, does the Wii version of Manhunt count? Because that was a thing. But if we're talking about Nintendo produced, it's probably Wind Waker because people are bad and don't like good things. Yeah, but people come around to Wind Waker to the point now where people are basically begging for it to come to Switch. So
right.
Most of these games have that moment. Like I said, it happened to Majora's Mask even before this. Epic Open World says, has to be Super Metroid because you can see Samus in a bikini. Think of the children's minds that were poisoned. It set Mike down a path that brought him to playing Honey Pop games. I'll tell you what, I did not beat Super Metroid fast enough to see her in a bikini, so we can't blame that one. No. But we had to blame, I guess we're going to have to blame Jessica Rabbit or Gadget from Chip and Dale.
We can blame them for a lot,
Yeah. The most controversial game I remember was Pokemon Sun and Moon. There were a lot of gameplay changes, including getting rid of gyms. It wasn't a bad game, but the gameplay changes really didn't do much to make the game shine at all. For me, it was really just the pacing, especially that beginning, the super obnoxious, like story heavy, but like still like with the substance of something dumber than a Saturday morning cartoon. Like that's what upsets me, like with these games, like these dialogue heavy Nintendo games sometimes, is that like I could go watch a cartoon designed for a 5-year-old with my nieces, and it will be more advanced than those things are sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or it'll feel like the lowest of those, like a pajama, like a puppy dog pals, right? Where there's like no actual bad guy, there's no antagonist or no actual issues. And
yeah, they're just having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm putting on a video of watching babies play with each other. Wildfire Alex says, my most controversial Nintendo game is Conker's Bad Fur Day. Talk about a complete 180 on a character that was originally made for a racing game. Now, he wasn't made for the racing game. He was going to be in his own platformer. It was called Lucky's, I forget, or Conker's something. But he was and it was going to be a
regular cute platformer. It was going to be regular, yeah.
But that's why he was in Diddy Kong Racing. It continues. It's also something that we didn't see very often on a Nintendo console at the time, especially from one of their proprietary developers in Rare. It was nasty, gross, had strong innuendos, and sometimes outright blatant meanings, but it was still a very fun platformer. Obviously, it caused some backlash for some people due to the overly mature tones, but that was part of the game's charm. Now it's more accepted, but in the late stages of Nintendo 64's life, this was a little controversial, to say the least. Honorable mention goes to Skyward Sword. Yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day is a good answer. Even aside from all that stuff, I feel like it's actually pretty split on if people actually like it or not. And I've never actually been a big fan of this game.
Think even it was fun to play at the time, and I have no urge to go back and play it again usually, but it was like, at the time, like, I might even just rented it or something. If maybe it was like actually couldn't rent it, but I don't know. It was fun, and the musical number with the big giant poo was a standout moment. But like it was of its time, so I don't need to go back to it.
Rumham says, controversial to me is a mixed game that some people defend, others hate. A lot of people seem like saying the games they dislike. Well, Super Mario Sunshine feels like the right answer. I love it, but I get why people don't. B Papa says, it's hard to pick a controversial game from Nintendo since they tend to stray away from that kind of content, and it seems keeps them off the evening news. Never going to see a Night Trap or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 airport situation from them. So I'd have to pick a particular hardware debacle. I'm going to go with the Wiimotes flying out of people's hands and into TVs, which earned them so much controversy they gave away the jackets on their own dime. Yeah, remember, that was actually an issue.
Yeah, the Wiimote condoms. Yeah, exactly.
Wiimote condoms. Believe it or not, we're going to be bringing up condoms again. Let's do that one right now. Keywork says, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Just look at the condoms they gave out alongside the commercial. Apparently there was Conker condoms, and if anybody has ever had sex using a Conker condom, I want to hear from you.
Yeah, please, right in.
Yes. They're probably in probably in the cell right next to us. Jeff, Nintendo joke.
Yep.
Reese Elliott says, Wind Waker, after the super realistic Zelda demo at Space World, everyone was pumped for a gritty, grown-up Zelda. Then boom, a couple of years later, Nintendo comes in with a fuck you, cutesy, cel-shaded Link. Luckily, the final product was one of the best Zeldas of all time. Still controversial as hell, though. I do wonder if it just would not have been an issue if we didn't have that Space World demo, huh?
Yeah, that probably would have made some difference. Yeah, that Space World demo was kind of threw people off. Yes.
But even Wii U had that Zelda demo that was like, once again, kind of darker and grittier with like that giant spider. And that, again, that was not what Breath of the Wild looked like, but no one cared. No one even ever said anything. Partly because I think at this point we understood. I think there was confusion about what tech demos even were back then, really, too. Like, people just thought, oh, this is the trailer for the next Zelda game.
And I mean, honestly, Breath of the Wild looked immediately amazing. Like, immediately the first time we saw it. So, yeah.
He was going to complain. Alex says, Smash Bros. Melee is probably the most controversial game due to the community and Nintendo. Either the community is doing something awful or Nintendo is fighting against the tournaments ever even happening. I mean, that's true. If we're looking at just like this weird life after the game comes out, yeah, there's been a lot of drama with the Smash Brothers tournaments and community. Turbo Sean says, the real most controversial Nintendo game is they apparently love it or hate it, Super Mario Sunshine.
Oh, okay.
Certain people on the internet, like a hateful Nathan and a gamer of the modern and vintage, insist on besmirching the good name of this game and sending their minions out to bully those of us who just want to enjoy a Mario game with a nice change of pace. Even poor Mikey got peer pressured into liking it less by his grubby coworker.
I don't think that's how it worked. I think he just played it. That's what happened.
It's okay, Mike. This is a safe space. The scary man, the other side of the screen, can't hurt you.
I honestly think I like your Sunshine more than Mike does now. So
wow,
yeah.
Am I letting Jeff influence my opinions? Yeah, you're right, Turbo Sean. Sunshine's actually the best Mario game. Jump Matt says my vote goes for New Super Mario Brothers because it's both a very good platformer and not what a lot of classic Nintendo fans wanted. Plus, by this point, the formula has really overstayed its welcome. Yeah, by the first one, people were okay with it. I wonder if one of the other New Super Mario Brothers games,
probably the better answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, two people people mostly just didn't like. I think by Wii U, a lot of people were kind of over it.
It's controversial because there's a lot of people on the other side who really like that game. And so it's fun to play, and there's a lot of people who just are so over it, they can't even get into it to enjoy it. So there's a lot of people on both sides.
Creaky Leg says the most controversial Nintendo game would be Mad World. It came out at the height of the Wii, and with it being looked at as the most family-friendly console of the big three, many parents and non-gaming outlets lambasted Nintendo over to the point that in some places it was not released, like in Germany, and had an edited version released later in Australia. Nintendo themselves came out and defended the decision to release the game, saying that the Wii is for both children and adults to enjoy. It's funny whenever it happens. Nintendo does release occasionally, adultish games all the time, but sometimes
there's probably Operation Sexy Sudoku on the eShop right now.
Yeah, there probably is. You're right, Jeff. I mean, gosh, they just straight up published Bayonetta, which is filthy. In a good way.
Sinful.
Edge Guy says the most controversial Nintendo game was Wind Waker. You have to put yourself in the mindset of Space World 2001, coming off the realistic Zelda tech demo shown just 1 year prior. A vocal group of naysayers whined and whined about the kiddie art style, dubbed the game Zelda. Remember that CELDA?
Yes,
Wouldn't stop saying it.
An embarrassing thing to say, even then.
Yeah, it was God. Of course, those of us who were on the right side of history understood that Wind Waker's art style not only allowed for more expressive characters, but that it would also stand the test of time. Robo Joe says, I don't think my pick lifts the traditional definition of controversy, but Mother 3 and its lack of a stateside release seems to generate a recurring low hum of controversy for the company. What, other than low sales numbers, has kept them from releasing it all these years, despite consistent fervor for Earthbound? There's some point where Reggie was asked so much about this that he must have been like, hey, can we just bring this to the West? And even with his position as president of Nintendo America, they were still like, no. I just don't know what's up with it.
Yeah, I feel like they're just gonna keep saving it until they're waiting for the right moment, but maybe they just don't care. Maybe that's also a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Giggy64 says not really a game, and it never came out. But when the Wii Vitality Sensor got announced, it caused many to question just what the hell Nintendo was doing in their R&D department. Just they're having a good time there, I guess. They were making a heartbeat monitor.
Eric M in chat is still upset about Zelda. I'm so sorry. I'm so it's been 20 years. At this point, you got to get over it. I'm sorry.
What did he?
He's they have to sell it for the Game of Magazines, and they give us that shit. Lol. Man, sorry, but it's been a long time now.
Look, it got Twilight Princess, and then it wasn't as good.
Yeah. You got the wolf, the Link who turns into a wolf and fucks. That's right.
No, Jeff, that was a cartoon you saw that was not in the actual game.
Oh, fair enough. My bad. I mixed up GameCube and Pornhub. Yes.
When he says controversial recency bias, but probably 3D All Stars / Mario 99. It was weird to be limited time. It didn't create scarcity or a collector mentality. A year after sales were discontinued, I can still walk into Target and buy the game at Target. It was dumb. I hope that it was a weird experiment and they don't do it again.
It didn't create scarcity or collector mentality. I think it still increased sales, though. That thing sold pretty well.
It might have. Yeah, I think there was some FOMO that happened because of it.
I think the reason they printed so much is because it was selling so much.
Benji Meep, that's funny. He says honorable mention to Fire Emblem Fates and Sword and Shield, but the most controversial Nintendo game for me is Mario Party 9. They literally changed the core of the game. Moving as one eliminates individual strategy, stars become trivial, coins were removed, non-dice items were removed, and the worst part, you have to work together instead of screwing everyone else over. Call it a spinoff, call it a new series, but don't call Mario Party 9 a mainline Mario Party game. Yeah, again, controversial mostly for just being bad. I know Nick Turbo defended this game last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why Benji had to come out here and say this. But yeah, I do not like Mario Party 9 at all. We had one more question come in too from Benji. He asked, is the Jubilife Village theme the best Pokemon song ever? made. I don't know. There's
I don't know if it's the best
Pokemon
one, but
songs.
it's definitely very good. It's got those lo-fi vaporwave chill wave vibes to it. I like it a lot, and it's going to be the kind of thing when I hear it in the future, I know it's going to be instant nostalgia. So I'll probably think back to the marathon stream or whatever. So really good music. Mike, we got a few more super chats in.
All right, let's hear him.
Retro D Dude says, "Here's some money," and then he didn't have a message.
Thank you.
Nintendo Bro,
like
Cruisin' Blast is now only $20. Go buy it, people. If someone's going to advertise on this thing, I'm glad they're at least giving us some money. So thank you, Nintendo Bro. Also, Cruisin' Blast is $20. Everyone should go buy it. King is overrated. Please tell me this direct is the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, and we get them announced as ports. I'm hopeful, but also I could totally see them holding off on that until later this year. They might still be waiting to see if Breath of the Wild 2 is going to make its release date. And if it's not, they'll have that ready to go for the holiday. And if it is, they could release it in the summer, earlier in the summer or something like that. So, but I don't know. Maybe they're ready to go. Maybe those games are ready to go and they'll just release them. Gecko Gamer, Chibi Robo Ziplash was highly questionable. I don't remember why it was highly questionable, though.
People didn't like it. I know people don't like it. Again, I've never played a Chibi Robo game, but I know people did not like that.
We're going to do a 12-hour Chibi Robo marathon. All right, maybe not.
I thought that game is 12 hours long, but hey.
Well, there's multiple ones. You can play through all of them.
Series is 12 hours long, but maybe.
Radu, Pericol, Taganas, Tomodachi, and their general no politics dumb thing. Yeah, so Tomodachi Life it's like a life simulator game where you can have characters live with. It's basically you create your Miis and they go live in a town, and sometimes they'll get relationships and stuff. But they did not allow homosexual relationships at the time.
Oh, it's one of those no politics thing where by politics they mean your sexual identity
of actual human people, right? Yes, exactly.
That's of course.
And so they got a lot of flack at the time, and I think Nintendo even put out a statement saying, "Yeah, well, we're going to rethink this sort of thing in the future." So, and in the future they've been a little bit better about that stuff, I think. So, Yep. All right, that's Jeff. Everything though. Yeah, those are all the super chats.
So for next week, I thought a fun topic would be which Nintendo game are you most ashamed of not playing or beating yet?
Okay,
So we're going pile of shame with this one. Yeah, yes. So that'll be pretty fun. Gosh, Jeff, you got to play a lot more Pokemon Legends Arceus this past week, huh?
That's a good game. Yeah, I'm a decent way in. I'm gonna keep playing it. I've got a little bit more stuff distracting me now, but I'm enjoying it a whole bunch. It is just a real solid loop of go out, find cool Pokemon, bring them back, get rewarded for finding cool Pokemon, go do it some more, unlocking new areas and getting to see a whole bunch of new Pokemon, and not even when you don't know if they're rare at first, just seeing a new one is so exciting. And it's okay, 10 minutes later, you're okay, I've seen 20 of them. Clearly this isn't a rare one, but still that moment of discovery is fantastic. And then occasionally you will see one that's okay, there's maybe going to be one or two each time you load in this map, maybe over in this one area. Can you capture them? And if you can, that's exhilarating. And then, coming back to the area repeatedly and getting a chance to fully fill out your Pokédex about these, completing your research on those is also satisfying. There's just so many angles that they have figured out about how to make being out in the world fun. And then a lot of it didn't require the world to look good. And that's a good thing because it doesn't, but it's not affecting my enjoyment at all because it's just not why I'm there. All the other stuff is why I'm there, and they nailed it. And it's the kind of game where I'm really glad that I waited to do this marathon until this game was here. Because if I had tried to do this, I was going to do it with Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, but we didn't get to go ahead in time from the family to say it'd be okay to come out and tell everybody about this. And then by the time we did, this one was here. I'm this was very easy to play for 12 hours. It was very.
I think I lucked out.
Yes, and that day I got in bed and I played it for another 30 minutes before I fell asleep. So it's I'm mad into it, and I played it again the next day and some more than that weekend. It's the kind of game where I can see myself losing 4 or 5 hours at a time very easily through the next couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to it. It's all the negatives are just sort of known quantities, things that it doesn't look as great.
Yeah.
There maybe there could be more to it, but what is here is so good that I kind of have zero complaints personally. I think on the stream I called it the best 4 out of 5 game, where it's it's clearly not a 5-star game yet, but it's
I know what you mean.
It's definitely a 4-star game, and it's the kind of 4-star game where I'd almost rather be playing this than like some like prestige game that is a five-star game, because this one's just so sticky and playable.
You'd rather like Last of Us Part 2, right? Like that would be
right. Definitely something like that. Yes, absolutely. This is like it could look miserable compared to Last of Us Part 2. It could look miserable compared to most games, and yet I just don't really care because it's so much fun.
Kidnapper, I don't. That percent, 1% doesn't get bothered by graphics. Doesn't really bother me either. Like even there are even times where it does look like fine, but yeah, like and I'm not gonna say like, oh, the textures look good. They don't.
Yeah,
but it doesn't bother me. Which shocked me because like when they first showed the game, I was like, this looks really rough. Of course, that was back when like the frame rate looked like it was like 10 frames per second too. So the fact that they at least got it going like a steady 30 frames per second, as far as I can tell, then whatever else they had to do was the right decision. I've been really enjoying that game too, but I haven't had a chance to play too much more of it lately because I've been busy with reviewing that upcoming big PlayStation thing. So that's what I have really been up to. So I think we're going to have to call it here, but we are going to be back tomorrow because we are going to be watching that Direct live. You can join us. We will be working during it, so we won't be like full on energy.
People seem to enjoy that.
Focusing. Yeah. We can't be paying constant attention to you guys because there is a Direct and also we're working. But you can come hang out with us. It'll be fun.
Come hang out with us while we work and write up the Nintendo Direct. Yeah, we'll be. We'll definitely still be reacting as it happens, though. Like we'll be like,
oh yeah,
like if something exciting happens, like Mike with the Kirby announcement last time. That's the sort of thing where we'll definitely be shouting and all that stuff. If that's what you're here for, but we'll also just be quietly writing during it and kind of like checking on chat here when we can. But I'm looking forward to it. I got to make sure I tell my wife to see if she could pick up Emmy from school. Although Emmy's been sick, she might not even go to school tomorrow. So we'll see.
Just keep her home.
I might have to because she's been sneezing still, and I just don't like sending the kid when they're sneezing right now.
Gecko Gamer sent in a last minute super chat here. One has to die, Spyro or Crash. You know, gosh, I actually want to play Spyro games even more because I really was enjoying them during that the remake collection. But I probably would still kill Spyro. I thought Crash 4 is such an underrated game.
Good job, Spyro. So time to die.
See you later.
Yeah, I would probably kill Spyro. Well, my kids really like Spyro, and no one really cared about Crash when I was playing it. So maybe I'd keep Spyro around for them because I don't particularly love either series. But Crash 4 was probably the most fun I had with any of them. So yeah, I'll probably kill Spyro for myself.
Jeff, why don't you end this poll before we get out of here? Will Metroid Prime 4 have a multiplayer shooter component? Looking like 63% people are saying no, it will not, which seems about right to me. I'd be surprised if it did.
Yep, I would be very surprised. I guess maybe I overstated. There's no way in hell, but it just feels like a waste of resources in a time when they shouldn't be wasting resources on anything other than getting an actual Metroid Prime game out.
Right, exactly. It's not like the old days where, like with Going Out, you can just kind of put a multiplayer mode together at the last couple months there or whatever.
I mean, honestly, right. Halo was the same way. Two dudes working off on the side, coming up with Halo multiplayer, and it's like, we are not there anymore. It's not worth the investment. You already have Splatoon. Just worry about that.
All right, Jeff, want to start playing us off here?
I do. I'm going to hit the button. We're good. We got about 60 seconds.
Yep. All right. We're only one day away from finally seeing Silksong again. So we will see you tomorrow back on YouTube. Don't forget on Friday, we'll be doing Games Beat the Sides. So we'll be back doing that. Check out my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. I'm on Twitter at Tolkoto, Tolkoto. Jeff.
Yet again, we find ourselves one day away from Hollow Knight, huh? It's just one of those times where so many times in our lives, we've only been one day away from finding out about Hollow Knight. I'm Jeff Grubb on Twitter, and I'll follow me. Tune in for our thing tomorrow. It'll be fun. We'll be in our Slack or our Discord talking about it. I think Rachel will probably be there. Dean might be there if he's available. Who knows? Dean doesn't usually care about Nintendo Directs, but he might be working, might be trying to help us out. So come hang out with the whole crew. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see if we're right. You guys could let us know how we did on our guests and everything. All right, see ya.
Bye.